I think our generation, the people Liam and I hang out with, like, this show does not feel controversial to us. To me, I'm like, no, having a main character who's a lesbian, not a thing that I'm like, oh no, are people gonna like it? I don't think it even really crosses our minds to worry about that. It's just part of the world. The people we interact with, we're telling stories that those people can relate with, and I don't think any time throughout this process have any of us felt like we were tackling something controversial. There's always going to be a small sect of folks who don't like the show we're putting on for whatever reason. We're having a blast telling this beautiful story, and we're in awe of the way that the writers put it together.
Nothing's better than this.
It's the Civic Theatre Show from Civic Theatre of Greater Lafayette, Indiana.
Nothing's better than this.
I'm Jono.
Nothing's better than this.
In 2006, Time magazine named Fun Home, the graphic novel by Alison Bechdel, on which Civic Theatre's upcoming musical is based, as the best book of the year, and described it as, quote, a masterpiece about two people who live in the same house but different worlds, and about their mysterious debts to each other, unquote. The graphic novel was popular and, a decade later, became an award-winning Broadway musical with layers of gorgeous melodies that you'll be singing for weeks. But the book was also controversial, removed from some libraries after allegations that some content was too explicit and not in alignment with religious values. Sex and religion. Those are things that Americans are plenty comfortable talking about in public, right? Yeah. Supporters of the book, Fun Home, argued that it is critically acclaimed as literature with educational value, exploring themes of memory, family, and queer identity. Yes, Fun Home is a memoir about the author's coming out story and her complex relationship with her father, who had his own issues. On stage, it's an exploration of a woman's life as a child, a college student, and adult. No family is perfect, and those imperfections are very relatable. And although the book had material some readers described as explicit, the stage play is more tame, with just a bit of language. For our conversation today with TJ Rosa and Liam Kelley, the director and assistant director of Fun Home at Civic Theatre, I was actually expecting them to say, well, sure, it's controversial, but the music and story and acting are so good that you should come anyway. Instead, TJ and Liam honestly seemed perplexed when I brought up the history behind the book that became this show. Is the controversy behind Fun Home generational in nature? That's coming up. But first, let's explore TJ's and Liam's lengthy background in community theater. TJ is one of several people at our theater who I call a lifer, because she started acting at an incredibly young age. Still a young adult, TJ has over 2 decades of theater experience. With Liam Kelley, here's TJ Rosa.
Life finds a way to bring us back where it all began. To bring us back where it all began. To bring us back where it all began. Life is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I definitely grew up in a very music and theater loving household. My parents both love all types of art, and we were just constantly surrounded by it. I guess I got started in Civic because my big sister had done a few things. Man, what came first, music or theater? I don't know. I think I've been singing since I could make noise. Still, I'm constantly like singing. My girlfriend says I have a song in my heart. I just am like always singing what I could be speaking, which I'm sure is delightful all the time. But I did my first civic show when I was 6.
6.
Yeah, I was a froglet, a baby frog in the musical Honk when we did that at the Long Center in God, it must have been like 2003, 2004, if I had to guess. I was born in 97, so somewhere around there, which was a musical. So, yeah, and I don't know, I never stopped. I got the bug, I guess.
Did you do shows every year in those early years?
Yeah, and it was like multiple shows a year. I think kind of from that point on, I just any chance I could get to be on stage, I was doing it. And then when I think in 8th grade is the first time I stage managed, so that was the first time I kind of like switched over to this other side of it. And then I was, on stage a little less after that cuz I loved stage managing so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Okay, age 6 to 8th grade, there's a big gap there. And
Yeah.
since you are one of our column lifers, right?
Sure.
Because you started in Civic at an early age, and here you are decades later, still in Civic Theater, community theater.
Yeah.
Those early years,
Yeah.
do you have any vivid details of participating in the shows still in your mind? I think about childhood photographs, like when my parents would
Yeah.
break out the childhood photos, and I think, do I really remember that, or am I just making up a memory because I saw a
Sure.
photograph?
Yeah.
What specific details of some of the early shows stick in your memory?
Yeah, the biggest one I can remember from the first show I did, we did Honk. I was a little baby frog, like I said, and there was a moment in the show where I got to, like, at the end of a song, be lifted onto someone's shoulders. That someone was Bob Mendrum, who we all know and love. He
Yes.
played, I think, like my uncle, who was also a frog, and at the end of the song, he lifted me up on his shoulders, and I remember being like so excited because he was so tall. I got to be up super high. And then for years after that, anytime I saw him, he would like pick me up. um, that doesn't happen as much anymore. I'm tall now, but yeah, that sticks out in my memory.
How did you know that you were hooked in performing?
Man, I don't know. I think I just loved it. I loved singing and dancing on stage so much that anytime there were auditions, I was like, yeah, I want to be there. I want to do it again.
Liam, you've got an impressive resume in theater as well. You started with Civic Youth Theater also. Peter Pan Jr., Fiddler on the Roof Jr., Beauty and the Beast Jr., The Phantom Tollbooth. In recent years, as a young adult, you've been in Urinetown, Clue, 9 to 5, right? And you've also been a director in our short play festival. So how did you become a theater kid?
Well, I remember back before I started, I was like begging to be on the Disney Channel.
Ah,
That was like a huge ambition, and I wouldn't shut up about it to my parents. And one day they just signed me up to audition for a show. It was Oliver, and the rest is history.
the rest is history. With wanting to be on Disney Junior, did you want to act?
Yeah, I wanted to act. Oh, I was looking up auditions. Yeah.
Okay.
There was
That's
like
so
they had
cute.
like an open call for, I think it was Descendants, the
Oh my
movie.
God.
And they had something for the son of a dwarf. And I was like, well, I'm
Perfect.
9, but I could play short. And
Perfect.
that
Wow.
was my whole thing. Yeah, I was really set on that.
And so you've done directing, you're
Mhm.
stage managing, you're assistant director for this
Mhm.
show. When did you want to move from acting on stage into doing some of the behind the scenes roles?
I think just seeing a lot of people that pipeline, like seeing TJ doing stuff like that, a lot of people being really involved in all of the parts of theater. I think once I started doing theater, I just fell in love with it and I wanted to do any part of it I possibly could.
So TJ is directing Civic's upcoming production, which is Fun Home, and you are her assistant director.
Mhm.
What are your responsibilities as AD?
I like to say that I'm just there to make TJ's life easier
And he does, and he
for the
does.
most part. But I'm also there to be a sponge to just like soak up so much information on how to direct. It's really fun to get to learn from TJ. And, sometimes she'll be like, can you go over to the other room and clean this and I'll do this in this room or something like that.
It kind of doubles our productivity
Hmm.
because it's nice. Like Liam said, I'll be like, hey, can you take these 3 and go work on that one scene over here? And I'll take these 2 and work on this. And it's really nice to have someone like, I don't know, I trust Liam's vision. He's like got a great eye for how to make pictures on the stage. And Liam assistant directed Almost Maine with me last year, and so that's really what led to he did such a great job with that one. That one was nice because if you know Almost Maine, it's like a bunch of little scenes that aren't necessarily connected, so Liam got to take, what, 2 of them, I think?
Yeah.
And just, like, those were his scenes to work on, and I was like, "Man, like, this kid's great, like, let's get him into Fun Home." So it's been lovely having, like, someone I can trust to be like, "Okay, let me give Liam this bit, he can handle that, I can focus on this part." Yeah, it's been nice, we're a good team.
Excellent. So audiences, of course, understand what actors do, but I'm not sure that audiences always understand the various behind-the-scenes roles. So that's why I like to ask about things. What are your responsibilities as AD? TJ, how do you
Yeah.
like to divvy up responsibilities between an assistant director and a stage manager?
Sure. We have a phenomenal stage manager on this one, M. Miller, who's so organized. And then an assistant stage manager as well, Rachel Young, is fabulous. I think, well, what's nice about community theater is like people kind of get to do whatever they want. There's not like strict, well, a stage manager's responsibilities are this and an assistant director's responsibilities are this. So it's kind of fun to have such a great team and be able to like play to their strengths, but also to like what they want to be doing. For this one, I feel like anything more like organizational has gone toward like Em or Rachel. They're both super organized at like keeping track of blocking and the schedules and the actors' conflicts and all the communication. And then anything that's more like, I guess, creative or like, can you work with these two in this scene on like getting this out of it? Like that's maybe something I might give to Liam. Yeah.
Anything that you like to volunteer for in particular? Those behind-the-scenes roles that you especially enjoy, Liam?
As assistant director, I really love scene work. It's like really fun. And I think that was born through Almost Maine with those like cool vignette things. It was really cool to get to work on that show. But behind the scenes, I also love backstage managing is really fun. It's something that I've gotten to do a couple times. The past shows with like Clue was really hard to do that, but it was really fun to sort of choreograph those scene changes. Being in the booth is really fun because you get to just sort of hang out, depending on the show. If it's like really huge, like pressing buttons all the time, but sometimes it's just fun to just hang out up there. You can have a little conversation as long as you're still like locked in. But
Yeah. Well, I find that community theater is about all of those things, acting in these behind the scenes roles and designing and so forth. But I also just like talking about performance. And Liam, we have to ask TJ about her other performance background. TJ, you are
Oh, God.
also a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
You released an EP titled Yellow in 2016, which I believe was your senior year in high school.
It was.
Singer-songwriter in
Oh my
high
God,
school.
such a baby.
By the way, it's still available today on Apple Music and Spotify. I know that back in those years, so right after your release, during your college years, the
Yeah.
latter part of the 20 teens, you actively gigged at events around town here, around central Indiana, events and stages for several years leading up to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and for your day job, you're an elementary school teacher.
Yes.
So
yes.
actor, teacher, songwriter. If someone was writing a biography of you, which one of those titles would you want to come first?
Oh man. I would probably say teacher. And here's why. What I love about teaching is that I just as a teacher get to wear so many hats. And I think I'm very lucky to have so many interests and so many things I love to do. I love music, I love theater. But one thing I love about teaching elementary school is that I get to do science every day and I get to do math every day and I get to read every day. And so I don't know, that's part of why I love the job so much is it's so varied and there's so many different things. It's also what I spend the most of my time doing. It's a very time-intensive profession, and I love it. I teach 4th and 5th grade, which is, like, the best age if you ask me. They're, like, 9, 10, 11. So they're funny, they're starting to find their own, like, personalities and interests and values, and yeah, I guess teacher.
Okay,
Yeah.
teacher. Well, when you were preparing to be a teacher during your college,
Mhm.
you majored in elementary ed, of
Yep.
course, right, to become a teacher. And I read that you studied abroad in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And you were awarded a Fulbright English teaching assistantship. I
Yep.
understand you plan to go on that Fulbright award to Kenya
Mhm.
to produce a play. It was going to be in English to
Mhm.
help students there learn our language.
Yeah.
But you didn't get to go because of
No, this little thing
'cause
called
of
the
COVID,
pandemic.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, tell us, why did you first want to go to those East African
Mhm.
countries and why you had hoped to return?
Yeah, so when I was a sophomore in college, I think just as a young person who had never been anywhere outside of the United States, I was like itching to go somewhere I hadn't been and learn about a place of the world I hadn't known very much about. And my college, College of Ed at Purdue, offered a study abroad to Tanzania, which, if you don't know where that is, it's on the east coast of Africa. It's right below Kenya. So I was like, let's go, sign me up. It was a Maymester, so I spent about 3.5 weeks there. I was basically shadowing teachers in a rural elementary school there. So it was a really amazing experience learning from them and just interacting with people and being in a part of the world I had never been to. And it was gorgeous. We were right on the Indian Ocean, which was beautiful. So yeah, then as I, finished up my college career and started thinking about what I wanted to do next, the office at Purdue that deals with scholarships had reached out to me and said, "Hey, we think you'd be a really good candidate for the Fulbright." The English teaching assistantship basically entails going to a different country and being a TA at a university for English classes. So I was like, what a great opportunity to, further hone my teaching skills, be in a new place, meet new people. So I think that was the drive to kind of go explore a new place and be somewhere I hadn't been. But then of course I graduated in May of 2020, so I would have left that fall and there was not
Mm,
much international travel going on at that point.
nope.
So yeah, but it all worked out. I got my dream job teaching 5th grade right here in Lafayette. So
How did the idea to make a play in English for those students in Kenya? I mean,
yeah.
obviously by then you had a lot of theater experience, but
Yes, yeah.
I guess how did you decide to potentially connect those?
Totally. So part of the Fulbright TA program is, in addition to working as a TA at a university, you develop some type of community project to do just so that you are out in the community, you're getting to know people. A big goal of the program is cultural exchange. So of course I was like, well, what are the things that I'm passionate about that I could, sustain a project over a year for? So I thought about music, I thought about theater, I did some research, and there was a very specific style of theater that originated in Kenya that I found really interesting. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of learn about that and come up with a performance that the youth in the community could do as a way to, learn about this particular style of theater they have while also pulling in the English teaching component.
Well, you didn't get to go on the trip, but did you ever write the
Mm-mm.
play that you were going to do with the students?
No, no, I think it would have been kind of a co-created thing that happened when I got there.
Okay.
So, yeah, never happened.
Still, I love the idea that you were going to respect their local form of
Mhm.
theater and try to learn it to help them learn English. So
Yeah.
that would have been a nice collaboration.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think, part of the program is, I'm not going there to be like, I have all of this to offer. I'm really going there to learn about the place I'm going to. So,
Would you still like to go back? Could you become like a study abroad, like a teaching fellow?
yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, I would love to travel more. I think there's so many parts of the world that I haven't been to. I'd love to go back, to the eastern coast of Africa. It's beautiful, but there's a lot of other places I'd love to go too. I think as far as teaching goes, I love my little rural Indiana community that I teach in. So I think any travel for me at this point is strictly for fun, for learning, for yeah.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think maybe you brought back with you from learning about their cultures in Tanzania and,
Mhm.
well, you didn't get to go to Kenya, but you did get to go to Tanzania.
Yeah.
What maybe has stuck with you from their culture that still affects
Mm.
you in your life today or maybe in your teaching with your fourth and fifth graders?
Hmm. I think there's so much that we don't know about other places. I think especially I teach 4th and 5th grade and a lot of them don't realize how many different countries there are in Africa, right? It's a huge place with lots of different and varied cultures. So I try to relay that when I talk about places I've traveled with them. I think more than anything specific about the culture that I learned, it was really a great opportunity to just, I don't know, meet people and practice that communication when you're in a situation that you're unsure of or you're in a place you're not used to. I think that was probably the biggest skill or understanding that I gained.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I've heard that same story just about Civic Youth Theater. Kids coming in
Yeah.
to perform for the first time and in a place where they don't understand. They're still in a familiar culture. At least
Mhm.
it's here in town, right?
Yeah.
They're in their same town,
Yeah.
but there's a different culture inside theater, I suppose,
Sure.
especially when you're new to it. And that's true, I guess, not only for the youth, but for the first time that adult actors join us in the theater.
Yeah.
Liam, of course, theater as an educational tool has come up many times in our podcast. We've spoken with Benji Broswell, our education and youth coordinator at Civic, Julie Bauman, who was in that role previously, but she's still active in theater. She directed this year. They've both talked about it extensively. Our cast members, even from The Revolutionist, that was an adult show, spoke eloquently about how the stories we tell here are often incredibly relevant to today's world. Liam, I thought I'd ask you, since to me, you're somewhere in the middle. You were in all these Civic Youth Theater shows, but you're a young adult now, and you've been involved the last several years as an adult. But what lessons do you think people can learn in community theater, whether as kids or as grown-ups, or even as members of the audience?
I think theater brings such a level of empathy to a person, to a theater goer, stepping into somebody's shoes, especially at such a young age, but for anybody who's like doing theater for the first time or for the millionth time is just such a pipeline to like finding such a crazy empathy that you can't find anywhere else.
Can you think of examples from your own experience as an actor where, I don't know, going through a rehearsal or through a performance opened your mind to something, or about a way that you'd like to modify your own person, your regular behavior, or the way you think toward other people?
One thing that like really pops out as somebody who like is not me at all, in a show called The Prom that me and TJ were both
Oh
in.
my
Yes.
gosh.
I
I knew you were going to pick
I
this
know, I
one.
was like, I played an extremely homophobic young man. And in the show, he felt so motivated, he and his friends, by his like prejudice and hatred toward this young lesbian played by TJ, that they like came up with a whole different prom to throw that like wasn't with the school and left a solo prom
Which
for
Liam
her.
would never do.
I would never do. I haven't done anything like that. Don't plan on it. And don't plan on it. Stepping into those shoes, I guess, forced me to see from another perspective that I definitely wouldn't choose to
Yeah.
see from. But yeah.
Well, I mean, that kind of empathy is important.
Yes,
We
it is
need more
very
of this
important,
in the world,
especially.
and I like seeing it on stage to help people think in ways maybe they haven't thought of.
Hmm.
See, TJ, same question for you. How has the art we make in community theater helped to shape you as a person?
Ah, great question. I think when I think about community theater, of course, like Liam, I love theater. It's something that I think is like very clear about anybody who's at Civic. They love what they do. I think its power to communicate and to bring people together and to tell stories is so important, but I think the community piece of it is what's the most important to me. I feel like the biggest impact it's had on my life is all of the phenomenal people that I've met through it and the relationships I've built. And something really cool I think about a community theater is those like intergenerational relationships that
Mm.
a lot of times people don't have outside of family, like another opportunity to interact with and befriend people who are much older than them or much younger than them. And that's, I think, been a really cool part of the theater.
Hmm.
Or people who are like, Liam was like a kid when I was a camp counselor and now he's like grown up and we're friends and that's really cool. But yeah, I think a lot of just some of my very favorite people in the world I've met through Civic. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you absolutely on
Yeah.
that. Because as someone who, well, I will admit, I'm solidly middle aged. We'll put it that way. I'm on the later side of my career, right? I'm not retired yet, but I'm on the later side of my career, and both of
Mhm.
you are on the earlier side. And I love being in Civic to be around young people like you, and consistently just have that connection to a younger world, but have something to do together
Yeah.
that is fun and productive.
Mhm.
Do you think it's easier for audience members to open their minds to new ways of thinking about issues in the world by viewing community theater as opposed to viewing, say, a professional production that's touring and coming through town?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for audiences coming to a show and knowing, like, these are people who live in my town. These are people I run into at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, who have these new perspectives to offer me. Yeah, I think there's something more powerful about that to know, even when they like read the bios and they know, oh, this person works at this place that I know, or this person's a teacher, or this person runs this local business that I love. I think that can do a lot to kind of open up, yeah, they're mines.
Hmm. Okay, let's talk about our upcoming show at Civic Theater,
Yay!
Fun Home. It is the story of a woman's exploration of her own sexuality, her coming out story, and it also vividly portrays the complex relationship that she had with her closeted father. Some history is relevant here. Fun Home actually began as a graphic novel back in 2006. It was a New York Times bestseller that was adapted into a musical that opened on Broadway in 2015. It won 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. But that original graphic novel was controversial. Some people alleged that it was sexually graphic, violent, and not in alignment with certain religious values. So this is by no means a show with an easy subject to take on. TJ, why did you want to direct Fun Home for Civic Theater?
So I first became familiar with Fun Home when it won all those Tonys in 2015. You know, as a theater kid, me and all of my buddies would like watch the Tonys together every year. And I remember watching the young actor who played young Allison. If you're familiar with the show, you know we see Allison at 3 stages of her life sing one of the most gorgeous songs in the show, Ring of Keys, at the Tony Awards, and just falling in love with the song, you know, going home the next day and listening to the whole musical. And I think right away, the music of it is so beautiful that I just was like listening to it on repeat. And then after that, I borrowed the script from Steve Kohler. Shout out Steve Kohler. He was our managing director previously before Raquel. He said, "Hey, I have the script if you want to read it." So I read the script, and just the story is beautiful.
Yes.
I think it's important to note that it's an autobiographical. You know, it started the graphic novel as a memoir, so it's about a real person and her real experiences. Alison Bechdel, who you may know from the Bechdel test. If you know of the Bechdel test, that was her, our girl Allison. So it's about a real person and her real life experience, and I think there's something really special about, you know, portraying that and exploring it. And I'm so in awe of people who can take something, I don't know, hard that they've gone through and reimagine it in a way that's, I mean, the musical's just beautiful. So that's really what draws me to it. I think it's a beautifully told story. Yeah, and brilliantly told. I mean, the narrative arc of it, the way that it's situated, the music is gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any concerns about the material being difficult for our audience? Sometimes audiences, I think, they want to come and be entertained, and they want to laugh. Maybe they want to cry. They certainly want to enjoy the music.
Yeah.
But I don't know if every audience wants to be made to think.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if that's true for every audience. Any concerns about the fact that we're asking our audience to think through some of these issues?
I don't think I have any concerns or worries about it. I think Fun Home is so unique because they will laugh, they will be so entertained, they may cry, there's some heavy moments. And I think it almost, you know, the thoughtfulness almost surprises you. It's not something that is heavy or hard to do. I think it kind of takes you along, and it's a delightful show along the way. I think some of the, you know, it started as a graphic novel, and some of the maybe like grittier moments in the graphic novel don't translate onto the stage in a way that's super heavy or controversial even. I think they did a really lovely job of telling the story in a way that brings you along with it. So, yeah. Yeah, so I think they'll be entertained. I think it might make them think, and that's great. That's what theater's for. That's what art should be, is making people think and opening their minds and seeing things in a way maybe they haven't before, like Liam was saying earlier, developing some of that empathy that's so crucial. So, yeah, I hope they have a great time. I hope that they love it, and I hope that it forces them to think a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we can combine some of the topics we've been talking about. Theater through the ages as a participant or audience member, getting to interact with different generations, and then theater that makes you think because it's bringing up issues that are relevant in today's world. Liam, you're the youngest of the three of us, although both of you are half or less than half my age. So, but because you're the youngest of the three of us, I'm just going to ask you to represent your generation.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so
Voice of the youth.
Generation Z, certainly not trying to say that everybody in every generation has the same set of values, right? But the issues that have made Fun Home controversial to some Americans, in particular issues like LGBTQ equality, sexuality in media and theater and the like, what do you think is the difference in the way that younger generations like Generation Z older generations. I'm Gen X, and there were the baby boomers before me. In your experience, what are the way that the different generations explore controversial issues in society today?
I think, especially in my generation, activism is huge. I mean, I wasn't there for like for like when Gen X was my age or when the boomers were my age, but I know that it's huge for us to be like activists, especially online. Activism is very accessible, which might have been a little different. So I think issues like LGBTQ rights, like Black Lives Matter, things like that are just very like in our pockets all the time. And so we find it like very easy to just like add it to a story or send it to somebody who it might challenge
Mhm.
and, spark a conversation online, like in online chats or just like bringing something up like a poster that would have been maybe at a cafe instead like to your aunt or something, just be
Hmm.
like, "Look at this,
It's at
have
your
you thought about
fingertips.
this?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's just having the world in your pocket and being used to that and knowing how to access everything, I think is a tool that we've taken advantage of.
Mhm.
Do you think that makes younger generations more open to acceptance of people who may be different than them, whether it's the color of their skin, where they're from, or who they love?
Mhm.
Is your generation more open to acceptance of people on all sides of those issues than older generations, do you think?
In my experience, I would like to say that we are, but obviously there are still people that are my age or younger that might not.
I was just gonna say, I mean, we're not super far in age from each other. I
Yeah,
think
no.
our generation, and I don't want to speak for our whole generation, but I think the people Liam and I hang out with, like, this show does not feel controversial to
Mhm.
us. And I mean, speak for yourself, but to
Sure.
me, I'm like, no, having a main character who's a lesbian, not a thing that I'm like, oh no, are people gonna like it? I don't think it even really crosses our minds to worry about that, to cater to people who might not like that. Like, I feel like we're very, I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
part of the world. And it's like
Mhm.
the people we interact with, we're telling stories that those people can relate with. And yeah, I don't think any time throughout this process have any of us felt like we were tackling something controversial.
No, yeah.
I think we're
It
having like a blast telling this beautiful
Mhm.
story, and we're in awe of the way that the writers put it together, and we're excited to share it with people. And I think there's always going to be a small, sect of folks who don't like the show we're putting on for whatever reason. I think that happens with every show we do, probably.
Mhm.
So, cool. If this one's not for you, then don't come see it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, see, I absolutely love that. What I'm hearing from both of you is almost puzzlement at these questions, like why
Hmm.
should this show be controversial?
Yeah.
I guess part of the reason why I think to ask about it is, as I mentioned, I'm twice your age, I'm middle aged, and I know that things like LGBTQ equality, gay rights are things that were not in my vocabulary when I was a
Hmm.
teenager. They weren't issues
Totally.
that people talked about, or at least not in mainstream media and mainstream theater back in the old ages of the 80s or the early 90s when I was coming of age.
Hmm.
And I'm also aware that we have had audience members. Some people are like, I'm just not sure that I want to see that on this stage. And we're like, well, we're sorry you didn't, like you just said,
Yeah.
sorry you didn't
Okay.
care for
Don't
it.
come.
And
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm asking, why is it okay for Civic to have shows that bring these issues up? Why is it okay to have these shows on our stage? And maybe it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a non-issue. I mean, I think we're a community theater and we're telling stories that, you know, people in our community can relate to. There are a lot of queer people in Lafayette who want to see themselves represented on stage too. So, yeah, that's what we're doing.
I know that things like this have broadened my mind over the years, and I hope
Mhm.
that anybody who maybe has a more narrow view, I just hope that it can broaden their mind as well.
Mhm. I think one thing that's lovely about Fun Home is Allison's sexuality is a big part of the show, but it's really not the biggest part of the
Yeah.
show. I think it's really a show about a woman who's trying to connect with her family. It's grown-up Allison who kind of narrates our show as reflecting on the loss of her father and trying to find moments of understanding with him and moments of connection with him. And it's really about that human connection. And her being queer and her father being queer is a big part of that, but it's not the only part of that. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
It feels like the gayness of the show. I think the show doesn't even present it as the main issue.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, the biggest part is the relationship with the family.
Is that the main issue? Allison's maybe relationship with her father?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It really is. It's about Allison kind of coming to terms with the loss of her father and, the man she thought he was and the man she's trying to figure out if he actually was and, the parts of the way that she remembers him versus maybe how he really was. Yeah.
Okay. Our show is Fun Home, that's coming
Mhm.
up at Civic Theatre during May 2026. And TJ, you're the director. Liam, you're the assistant director. Why don't we talk about the production? Let's go behind the scenes with the production. Can we talk about the
Yeah.
cast?
Yes, please.
Who has surprised you? What aspects of these people who you've cast in the show have surprised you?
Oh my gosh, I could gush for hours. We have 9 cast members in this
Hmm.
show, and they're all phenomenal. We have some folks who people have seen on our stage before many times, like the incomparable Kate Martin, Martin Fernandez, who's just a legend. We have some new folks as well. Karina Vellner is our Allison, who's kind of our main character. And this is her first time on the Civic stage. She's done a lot of stuff with the Crawfordsville Community Theater and is driving to Lafayette for us, which is
Hmm.
awesome.
And her character's on stage the entire
The
show.
whole
Hmm.
show, she does not get a break. Yeah,
She's a
she's there.
warrior.
She is, yeah, she's there for the long haul. Yeah, we've got 3 kids in the show who are superstars. Reese Smith, who you may have seen in Godspell. She was in Beetlejuice
Yeah,
Jr. She was in
School of
School of
Rock.
School of Rock,
Rock.
yes.
Hmm.
She plays little Allison, and she's a superstar.
Hmm.
Liam Hensley, a different Liam, we
Yeah.
call him Little Liam, is in our show, and he's outstanding.
Hmm.
Grady Gorski, who you may have seen in The Jungle Book Jr., we've got him too. So those 3 are stellar. They bring so much energy and so much fun, and
Hmm.
that's been really awesome. They're all so talented. I think it's been really fun. Oh my god, I can't mention some of them and not all of them,
Yeah.
right? There's so few of them. Carly Smith is a superstar. We love Carly. She plays medium Allison.
Hmm.
Parker Smith. We have 3 Smiths in this show. They're not related. Parker Smith, who, let's see, Parker was in Young
Hmm.
Frankenstein. She did Civic Summer Camps as a kid too, so that's
Hmm.
been awesome. And then
Yeah.
Anthony Williams, also new to the Civic stage, is just magnetic.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't take your eyes
Brilliant.
off of him when he's on the
Hmm.
stage.
Oh, and a
So,
great voice
yes.
too.
Yes.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh, his
goodness.
voice. When he came to auditions and like opened his mouth, we were like,
Hmm.
it was so, oh my gosh. So we're very lucky. We have an ultra talented cast. I think it's been really fun and interesting and cool to see Martin take on this role of Bruce Bechtel. Something that's cool in this show is everybody's for the most part playing real people, right? They're not
Hmm.
made up characters. And Bruce is Allison's father, and it's a very, I don't know, meaty role. There's
Yeah.
a lot to it, and I think Martin's having a blast. We've seen him on stage a ton as like he's so funny. He's often got a lot of comedic
He's usually in
roles.
our comedies,
Yes,
yes.
he's got a lot of comedic roles. Even when he plays the bad guy, he plays like a very silly bad guy, right?
Hmm.
So it's been really cool to see him really dig into this character that's Bruce has got a lot of charisma, he's got a lot of charm, but he's also very complicated. And I think Martin's having a great time kind of digging into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liam, what aspects of learning the show has challenged either the two of you or the cast?
I think for me, definitely jumping from a show like Almost Maine to this, in one scene, we're jumping from 2 to like 9 characters. I think all of them
Mm,
are on stage at once
for a
at
couple
least.
times,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so that's definitely a different thing. I had sat by TJ at one point and like went like, okay, can I like have some scenes that are mine?
Mhm.
And one of them that I chose has like close to it has like 7 people at once or something. And that was such a challenge to like, okay, this person's over here, but they have to
Just the logistics of
yes,
it.
it's
Yeah.
insane. And
Yeah.
so it was just something I hadn't foreseen as a challenge, but just the amount of people on stage was something I.
The show also like doesn't quite move linearly. Like it
Mhm.
kind of jumps around in time a lot. So that's been something to like, okay, wait, we're over here and then we're flashing back to this and then this piece needs to come in. So there's been a lot of like the logistics of the set, the logistics of who's coming on where and how are we showing that we're going to a different time now.
Mhm.
Has been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely there have been a lot of mysterious props appear out of
Yes,
nowhere,
that'll show up. We're
disappear.
not sure
Yeah.
how yet. Trust us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure out who's going to carry that on. When can they carry
Yes.
that on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the music? How's the music preparation for this? We've got Caleb and Josh.
Yes, our music directors. This is kind of fun, and I don't
Mhm.
know that it's been done a ton at Civic. We have two music directors, Caleb Benner, who's kind of more in charge of the band side of things, and then Josh DeJarlis, who is on our vocal side of things. They're kind of sharing the music director role, which has been really great. I
Mhm.
mean, Caleb, who is in charge of our band, is just a stellar musician and has a perfectionistic ear, which is a godsend for us. And he, even being in charge of the band, is at every rehearsal to kind of get the flow of the show. There's so much music in this one. The music rarely stops. I mean, even when
Mhm.
there's dialogue, there's accompaniment under it. So he's really there every day to get a sense of when do we start this and when should this musical moment happen, which has been really cool. And our actors are just, I mean, their voices are unreal.
Mhm.
Something that's been fun is Josh is a choir teacher, so he really knows how to coach people in singing, which we really needed in this one. If you know the musical, there's a lot of overlapping parts and people singing different things at the same time. So it's been great having kind of an expert to help us with that.
Yeah, and the music in this show is so fun. It is so catchy.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I guess even if you're one of the older farts like me who doesn't want to think your way through a show that's about issues, you can come to this show and just enjoy that we have fantastic acting and the music is so catchy. You'll be singing it on the way home and for the next
Mhm.
week.
It's
Mhm.
gorgeous. Yeah, gorgeous music.
How
Beautiful.
do each of you decide when you see a show that is coming up if you're not already involved in the show, right? Like TJ, you were signed up to be the director for this show for a while.
Yeah.
But if you just see other shows and there's nothing on your calendar for that couple 3-month period, how do you decide whether you want to audition to act on stage or whether you want to get involved behind the scenes? Liam?
For me, a lot of it has to do with what my friends are doing.
Yes.
So, because I have a lot of friends that are also on both sides, and so looking at that, like, hey, are you auditioning for this? What audition slot are you going in? I'll try and be in the same audition slot. But also, if a show speaks to me, if a part speaks to me, or if the ensemble just looks like it's a blast to be in, that can definitely weigh my decision one way.
TJ, what about you? Are you going to be an actor on our stage again?
Oh my gosh. Man, how do I decide? I guess part of it is, like Liam said, if there's a show that speaks to me or a part I can really see myself clicking with, sometimes it's like, man, I love that show, but there's not really a role for me in it, so let me stage manage or let me be involved in some other way. I'm pretty tied to a few specific people, so, if Laurie Russell's directing a show, there's a good chance I'm going to be stage managing
Uh-huh.
it. Yeah, I think being on stage is God, it's a blast. I love singing and dancing with my friends, but usually unless it's like, a role that really speaks to me or music that I just really want to dance to, then normally I'm going to go the offstage route, I guess.
hmm
Yeah.
How many times have you been the choreographer at our theater?
Oh, I don't know that I could count. Several. I used to do it a lot more, and then we got a great guy named Brian Coker who came to town, and
Yes.
now he does a lot of that, and he's so good at it, and, we collaborate a lot still. Let's see, what have I choreographed? I think the most recent thing that I choreographed was Rocky Horror. I guess I choreographed Matilda, which I also directed, but I
Mm-hmm.
did the choreo for that too. All the Civic summer camp shows for years I did the choreo for. Yeah, a lot. I've choreographed a lot.
Final thoughts. What's the role of community theater? Here we are in the second 25 years of the 21st century, and the world is a changing place. Society is very divided politically, right? It's hard to come together. What role does community theater have today? What role do you see it having in the coming 10, 15, 20 years?
I think art in general and community theater specifically does have it's situated well to bring people together, right? There have always, we've always been divided. There's never been a time in history where everyone's agreeing on everything, and I think a constant is our community spaces and the stories that we tell, bringing people together. So I think that continues into the future as it did in the past, and I think the more people in our community that we start telling stories that they relate to, we start having conversations that are important to them, I think that just keeps building those conversations and bringing people in to build community together.
To rest and feel alive again. To rest and feel alive. Forget all the noise. We can just let it fade away. We can just let it fade away. We can just let it fade away. Life is
TJ Rosa and Liam Kelley, director and assistant director of Fun Home, the musical coming up at Civic Theatre from the 14th of May through the 23rd of May, 2026. Tickets are available now on our website, LafayetteCivic.org. A footnote for you, TJ mentioned that she had hoped to write a play for students in Kenya that respected unique forms of theater there. I learned that community-based theater and popular local language comedy are prominent original styles in Kenya, exemplified by the Kamirithu model, which combines indigenous dance, song, and storytelling for social commentary. Members of the community serve as both creators and actors, producing works that are, quote, of the people, for the people. Whatever our cultural differences, sounds to me like you can see yourself here in community theater in Kenya. Hey, don't forget that season reveal is coming up at Civic Theatre on May 30th at 5 o'clock. No tickets are required, just show up. Grab some food, enjoy some live music, and our special presentation to reveal what's coming at Civic for 2026-2027, our 95th year. We look forward to seeing you. Music for this podcast is licensed by Audio. That's AUDIIO.com. I'm John O. Thanks for joining us. The Civic Theatre Show is presented by Civic Theatre of Greater Lafayette, Indiana. See yourself here.